Hey everybody, I'm Dirk the Pyrographer with Shoemaker Pyro Shop. Today I'm going to talk about why I switched to maple for burning. Most of us use basswood for wood burning. I'm no exception. More than half the work that I've done to date have been on basswood. I focus more on portraits and realism. After working with basswood for a while, I started to wonder, is there maybe a better option for me? After 2 years of experimenting, I've settled on one option. Let me take you out to the wood shop and show you what I picked. This is basswood. It's light in color with light grain. This is soft maple. Has a lighter color and more pronounced grain. If you look at them side to side, you can clearly see the difference. And this is a piece of finished maple, about 1 year old. If you compare it to the basswood, it's a touch darker. You got to remember, this has a finish on it and is a year old. This is freshly sanded with no finish on it. Before going into soft maple, I wanted to talk about basswood and why do we use it? The most obvious reason is pretty much everyone does. It's readily available and you can get pieces of basswood shipped to you ready to burn. It's inexpensive. It's one of the least expensive hardwoods out there. It also has a lower weight. It'll cost less to ship basswood than other hardwoods. Basswood does have a light color. The light color makes it great for shading. It also has a very light grain. The grain lines aren't prominent and don't interfere with your burning. Basswood is also very easy to sand. The reason for this is because it's soft. When you compare all hardwoods on a scale, you'll see that basswood is at the bottom. It's even softer than some softwoods. Its softness means that it's not suitable for all purposes. Really, it's good for wall art and not much more. You don't want to use it for coasters, cutting boards, charcuterie boards, or any other purpose where you're going to be handling a lot and putting stuff on top of it. It dents very easily. The flip side of having a light color and little grain is that it's boring. When you see basswood sold in most places, it's paint grade. That means that it's made to be painted over. The wood just isn't interesting enough to look at on its own. So if it's not interesting enough to look at on its own, why do you want to use it as the background for your burning? Basswood does have a lighter color, but it does darken quite a bit after 2 years. You'll see a lot of people complain about their burns fading. The burn really doesn't fade, the piece of wood just gets darker. This makes the burn look like it faded. Now that we've talked about basswood, let me tell you about soft maple. When looking up soft maple on the hardness scale, it has a number of 950. That's more than double the hardness of basswood. It's right in the middle of the hardness scale, right along cherry and walnut. You can use maple for more purposes. Since it's harder, it can put up with more abuse. It doesn't dent nearly as easily, so you can use it for coasters and cutting boards or anything that you handle on a regular basis. If you're able to select your maple by hand, you can choose the lightest available. Color does differ from tree to tree, so it helps if you have a choice and choose the lightest of the bunch. First time I used soft maple was 2 years ago for this piece. I did this as a test to wait 2 years and see how the details held up, and I'm very pleased with how it still looks. The wood has darkened, which is expected, but not nearly as much as basswood. The details are still crisp and the contrast is all there. If you look at this piece on basswood, you'll see it looks very different from fresh to 2 years old. There's not such a noticeable difference on maple. Soft maple has a stronger grain. Some people don't like it for this reason. Other artists prefer the paleness of basswood and they don't want to see grain lines. I prefer to have the grain lines of maple. It makes it look like it's a piece of wood. Well, if you want to make it look like a piece of wood, why don't you just do a live edge all the time? It doesn't always work for every piece. I did this river landscape on live edge basswood. The live edge fits very well with the motif and goes well with the piece overall. This next piece is of jazz musician Duke Ellington playing at Carnegie Hall in New York City in 1957. Nothing about this piece says live edge. It doesn't work for this, and I should have done it on another piece of wood. Now I've talked about all the great things of soft maple, but what are the cons? First, it's more expensive. If you look up the price of basswood right now, it's $5.99 a board foot. Soft maple is more expensive at $7.99. So the material cost will go up when using soft maple. Since it's harder, it's also heavier. This means that it will cost more to get it shipped to you or to ship it out to your final customer. And the biggest detractor is ready to burn just isn't available. You can find some places that provide ambrosia maple, other types of maple that have a very interesting grain. But if you're looking for something clear for portraits or realism, there's not really a source. Your only two options are either to hire a woodworker locally or learn woodworking yourself like I did. Not everybody can do either. And while we're talking about maple, I should bring up hard maple. Let me go back out to the wood shop to show you what I'm talking about. When you search for maple, you may also come across hard maple. Can you tell a difference? I sure can't. Hard maple and soft maple look almost identical. The only way I can tell is by checking the hardness. If you remember earlier, soft maple has a hardness number of 950. Hard maple, on the other hand, has a number of 1450. It's much harder and stronger. This also means that it's harder to work and is difficult to work without power tools. When burning, you have to use a higher heat. Its hardness means that you can use this for practically any purpose. It's not the best for outdoors, but you can put it out there with the right finish. It resists dents very well. I prefer the soft maple for most purposes, but have used hard maple when I've needed that extra strength. There are other options out there. Beech is a good one, as well as birch. They're both light woods with light grain. I'm sure there are others out there as well. But why aren't there more options than basswood out there for burning? I'm sure if you go to any supplier, they'll say, well, the demand isn't there. People are happy with their basswood. But are we really happy with basswood? Or do we just use it because that's what's available? Maybe we should demand more. I don't know, just a thought. I hope you have a chance to try out soft maple in the near future. It's not easy to come by, but if you do get the opportunity, please take it. And if you do, let me know what you think. Please like the video, and we have a new one coming out every week, so subscribe as well to be the first to know. You can check out my work on Instagram at Dirk the Pyrographer or my website, shoemakerpyro.com. Thanks for watching, and happy burning. Okay. Thank you, Jody. I needed that.
Hey.
I appreciate it.